TTU Phoenix reporting frontline from the war against the machines. Streamlabs started a major offensive yesterday, but we've managed to stabilize the lines. The machines are still pushing, but we will yet hold and continue to cast casual esports league games. I'm TTU Phoenix here with my co-caster Ryder, and we are getting set up to bring back a game that we started casting yesterday, but due to the Streamlabs crash, we were not able to finish. So we will be just restarting and going in from the beginning because we weren't very far into this game, which will be Anarchy Navy versus Vengeance Esports.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, and rightfully so. Man versus machine here. But without further ado, let's quickly jump into the picks and bans of game one.
Yes. So on the side of Anarchy Navy, they have It's Just Drago in top on the Tom Kench, Yermord in jungle on Talia, Midmaster in mid, Suppressed MP5 in ADC, and Warwolves in support, playing the Malzahar, Caitlyn, and Morgana respectively. And then on the side of Vengeance Esports, they have Zadek in top, Sapper Squad in jungle, Sovereign in mid, Hajime no Gildo in ADC, and Bulbasaur Squad in support. So I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I feel like Vengeance is running a pretty standard team comp. You have a scaling tank top, a sort of early bruiser, somewhat tank jungler. Olaf can be built either as a more damage-oriented diver or just kind of as a healing frontline with Cinderhulk. Mage mid, ADC, and then Enchanter support. Whereas Anarchy Navy are a little more pick-oriented. Talia, Malzahar, very good at bursting and locking down a single target, but Malzahar's AoE damage is not as good. Morgana brings excellent CC. To me, I think the top lane is going to be very interesting. Tom Kench is very much a lane bully. He's extremely strong against other melee champions. However, he falls off very hard in the late game because he doesn't do a lot of damage unless he uses his Devour on a target. And if he uses his Devour to save an ally, he no longer has that damaging cooldown. He also doesn't initiate very well at all. He doesn't have access to the enemy backline, and he doesn't have a combat ultimate. So Tom Kench top tends to be about trying to get an early snowball and then using your ult with the jungler to roam or invade. But Shen is a very safe scaling tank, and he's also really good at following those roams because the Tom Kench ult, particularly level 1, is not very long range. Shen ult is global. So as long as Shen can sort of stay in lane and not fall too far behind, he can safely farm as much as he wants and then ult to counter any Tom roams.
Yeah, should be very interesting there. Any final thoughts on how the team fights are going to go?
Looking at itemization, I think Vengeance need to build a lot of magic resist. Anarchy Navy has drafted 4 magic damage champions, many of which have very solid CC, so I'd like to see a lot of Mercury's Treads, a lot of Spirit Visages, and other magic resist items. And Anarchy Navy needs anti-heal, and they need it early. Obviously, Soraka, one of the best healers in the game, as in terms of sort of pure healing delivered, and having anti-heal is critical to shut that down. Olaf, also champion with massive self-healing, and Shen is likely to take Grasp. And I would expect Shen and Olaf to both build Spirit Visage, because that will not only amplify their own healing, but amplify external healing that Soraka gives them. So Anarchy Navy is going to need a good amount of anti-heal, Morellonomicons, a Executioner's Calling on the Caitlyn, or else they're just never going to be able to kill anyone.
Very interesting, and very well said as well. Hopefully we see all those occur in our game. And without further ado, folks, let's jump right on into it. Hasagi!
All right, looking at runes and masteries, mostly pretty standard. On pretty much all standard on the side of Vengeance Esports. I think there are a few noteworthy things on the side of Anarchy Navy. The Dark Harvest Talia is pretty common. When you're playing her in the jungle, you're looking for that extra burst. The Glacial Morgana, I think, is interesting because they may have caught Soraka here.
Oh, here we go. We got the Morgana Q into a lot of damage coming out from the side of Anarchy Navy, getting first blood, going over to Caitlyn.
Yeah, and that's just a case of I don't think Bulbasaur Squad needed to be up that far. He could have been back in the entrance to keep an eye out, and unfortunately, he does have to burn his flash. They do use the Morgana Ignite, but notably, Morgana took Commencing Stopwatch, very common for this champion, but with the changes to Commencing Stopwatch, you now, just like Magical Boots, get it earlier based on takedowns. And it's a 14-minute timer normally, but now she's going to get it at 12. So that's just going to give her earlier access to that stasis, which is really crucial for Morgana. She really needs Zhonya's to do what she wants to do in a team fight, because without stopwatch or Zhonya's, she's very vulnerable to being bursted down during her ult's channel.
I do appreciate the solid snake Olaf there. Just not getting caught by the Tom Kench.
Yeah, I find the ward there very interesting from Sapper Squad, because normally you'd like drop it on the buff to see if the enemy's starting there, but that is very much a rotation ward. He's trying to see where is your ward going. Is he full clearing red side, or is he going to go to his blue side after red, which is what he's doing. So Olaf is doing his red. He's already done his chickens. He's kind of low on mana, but I think he has the potential here to go for an invade and try to take away the blue. Olaf is an extremely strong early jungler. He is at a health deficit, but that actually makes Olaf even stronger because his passive does give him increased attack speed as he gets lower. However, he is just going to go into his blue side. Olaf is very mana hungry, and he wants to make sure he gets his own blue buff to keep the undertows coming.
Yeah, it should be interesting as well to see what is going to happen with like early drags and who's going to really be going for this Infernal here.
Yeah, so Olaf is very much an early... He's very much a jungler who can solo dragon early. He does tend to get kind of low doing it. Olaf actually, unlike a lot of junglers, wants to lose health during his clear because it gives him attack. And so he wants to get low in order to...
Got a little bit of a flash top side. Shen flashing away to and just get closer to that tower. But Caitlyn's running pretty low bot side. We do see Olaf on our minimap slowly creeping up on this bot laner. We could potentially see a huge fight here. And there goes the Morgana bind onto the Xayah. Here comes flash in from Olaf, trying to get the Caitlyn, but it's not going to be enough. She doesn't fall. Olaf taking a lot of turret aggro from the tower there. And you do see that they do get the last proc onto the Morgana, but Morgana really striking back early, getting that last auto attack onto the Olaf, taking a life for a 1-for-1 exchange.
It is a 1-for-1 exchange, but I'd say that's actually in favor of Vengeance because the kill went on to Warwolves on the Morgana, whereas the return kill went on to Hajime no Gildo. And getting a kill onto the ADC as opposed to the support is always something you want to do if you can, because the ADCs are champions that don't require as much XP. They don't scale off XP as much as a lot of soul laners do, but they scale very heavily off gold. They need money. And so that 300 gold is going to do a lot for Hajime no Gildo. Also, he now has the double buffs as they went to Morgana from Olaf and then from Morgana back to Xayah. There's a small CS lead for It's Just Drago in the top lane, but I think he really needs to try to step the pressure up because he did take Ignite. Ignite in top lane, particularly against a tank, is kind of committing to killing them early, because otherwise, with the TP, Shen's just going to have more map presence than you are, and he's going to be able to stay in lane and farm better. And so if you take Ignite and you're not using it to get early kills, that summoner spell is just not doing as much for you as the teleport is. It will be helpful in team fights to try to shut down healing, but I think It's Just Drago probably needs to step up the pressure a little bit, or else he's going to let the Shen scale pretty heavily.
Yeah, something to note here, we do see the Olaf in the Talia's jungle while Talia is prepping for getting the Scuttle and then going onto the Dragon for a potential early drag.
Yeah, they do have the bot lane control, so it looks like they're going to rotate up here. I don't know if they saw Olaf on wards or if they just felt bad.
Well, they have now. They do see him on a ward going topside, so I think they're pretty safe in securing this dragon here. Tom Kench going to be flashing away, just going to not engage, knowing that his team is bot side and are not going to be rotating to assist him. But that's a pretty big win on the side of Anarchy Navy, getting that nice early drag.
It is. I think it was a good flash from It's Just Drago, though. If he'd been hit by a single undertow, he would have likely died to it.
That's a lot of damage coming out for the Zaya onto the Morgana. So, then you get the Soraka coming in and just doing her cleanup, getting the Q down on to the Morgana, securing her down. They pick up Caitlyn, Talia right after, and then slowly pick up the Caitlyn as well. That was a 3-for-0 exchange.
And that's huge for Vengeance, because Hajime no Gildo, like, their bot lane could have been very pressured early because Soraka is picked off her first blood on the invade. She loses her flash. She can't really afford to step up too much against the Morgana at risk of getting rooted. But now the Zaya's 3-0 has about a 500 gold lead on the Caitlyn. So the bot lane is now very much in Vengeance Esports' favor. Looks like they're going to be able to get a play here, just giving them a little bit more gold to further extend their lead.
Really pressuring down on Anarchy Navy here. You do see the utter burst from the Zaya coming out and doing massive damages to Anarchy Navy. How do you predict the rest of this laning phase is going to go for them?
I think that it'll probably devolve into a farm fest. Caitlyn has a weaker mid game than other ADCs because of the way her attack speed scales, but she's a very safe laner, and it's not that hard for her to just last hit and wave clear. Piltover Peacemaker gives her good wave clear. She obviously has a lot of range, and Soraka's not a very aggressive support, so they're not really in danger of dying. It'll probably be a case of them looking to just match the farm of the Zaya and not fall further behind, not give over another kill. Particularly because with only the Berserker's Greaves, there's a massive damage advantage on the Zaya side. There's more attack speed on the Caitlyn, but...
You see a lot of great damage going down onto the Morgana. The Caitlyn actually healing up Morgana, doing a trade back onto Zaya. And Soraka, actually, her heals are pretty massive right now. Basically, nullifying the damage that Caitlyn just did to the Zaya.
And they're pinging out the Shenar, so they may be looking for a dive here. Yermore did take Sapper Squad's red buff, but Sapper Squad is actually still up on levels. I'm actually curious why, because he got the exact same scoreline.
Now we do see a fight occurring topside. He just kind of wants to escape. I think he saw Talia on a ward. Is she going to be enough to secure him in? Shen does flash over the Talia R. Morgana, you see some fighting bot lane as well. Should be interesting to see. If anything's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. And I feel like a huge fight all across the map's going to occur. Soraka R coming down. Massive damage going on to the Morgana. Morgana actually flashing away. Caitlyn flashing away. Very low on the side of Anarchy Navy, but do live with their lives.
Yeah, Werewolves is at 50 health. Like, he's less than 1 auto from death. There really wasn't any more mana on Hajime no Gildo, so he's not able to confirm those kills. But with them forced out, they'll pick up some more. They'll pick up some more plates, and they should be in a good position to back. Probably get Zaya's Essence Reaver. Okay, not quite. She needs about another 700 gold for her Essence Reaver. But she'll back for a good amount of gold here, and then that will set them up well for this next dragon. It should be coming up in maybe a minute and a half here.
Oh, Tom Kent, you're in danger. Here comes Olaf. I mean, Broloff going down to Chugtown. They're going to be doing a nice third dive, picking up the kill on to the Tom Kent there. You do see the ultimate coming down on Malzahar, onto the Vel'Koz there. You see Talia coming in for the nice gank. One more proc of the stone, doesn't quite get him. We get the Shen R coming down. Is it going to be enough to save him? It is going to be enough to save him. Talia flashing away from the Shen engage and is doing some nice damage back onto the Shen here. What will we see more?
She's out of mana here, so I think they're going to have to just disengage. Yeah, good use of the Stand United from Zadok. Saves his mid laner.
Wait a minute, but we get the flash in from Olaf going into the E, going down to kill the Talia there. And is it going to be enough to save his life? He is running really low here. He is going to leave. That's good call on his part there. But we do see the Tom Kent coming out. Hold the phone. Here now, the Olaf's going right back on to the Malzahar, but does fall short. And the Tom Kench comes in to save the day with the licky tongue and taking him down.
I think Sapper Squad...
Hold the phone, though. We got a Morgana R into a Morgana Q, and they're doing some nice damage down to Xayah there. Caitlyn ultimate coming down as well. They are going to quickly Featherstorm back and get the stun off to Caitlyn, chunking her down as well, really making her low. You do see another fight happening in the mid lane. Taliyah is going to be fighting the Vel'Koz. Is it going to be enough to take him out, though? He has a really nice range of poke options, but does fall to Taliyah.
Yeah, I think all of Vel'Koz's abilities are just on cooldown there. But that bot lane fight you see is just the reason why Anarchy maybe needs the anti-heal, which they just bought. Caitlyn is like, look, not again. I ulted the Xayah, and Soraka made it as if it didn't happen. There's just so much healing coming out of Bulbasaur Squad that if people aren't under Grievous Wounds most of the time, they're not going to be going down. They do pick up an Ocean Drag to give them even more sustain. So the sustain advantage on the side of Vengeance is huge right now. It is going to be a Cloud Soul, which there's a lot of impactful abilities. Malzahar ultimate, Olaf ultimate, Shen ultimate. I think the biggest ones that would benefit from it are Morgana ultimate, because the movement speed after ulting allows her to just run people down.
Ooh, Olaf is caught actually out in Taliyah's jungle, and she does some massive damage. Just cleaning up the Olaf, making sure he pays his rent for coming in and just trying to punish her out.
I think Sapper Squad did not have smite here, so he wasn't able to smite the red buff. And then he's just too low and gets finished off, because he did go Warrior, the more damage-oriented Olaf, so that leaves him pretty squishy at this point. Particularly because Olaf gains bonus resists while Ragnarok is not active, but he loses those resists while Ragnarok is active. So when he activated his ult, he actually lost 20 armor and MR and became a lot squishier in return for gaining attack damage. But the champions that I think are going to benefit most from the air drag here are Morgana, because the bonus movement speed after ulting lets her just run people down and keep the soul shackles on them. Olaf, because Olaf already gains bonus movement speed towards champions during the beginning of his ultimate. Giving him extra movement speed for the majority of his ultimate means that he will just run through the Morgana, the Malzahar, whoever, to kill whoever he wants to. And then Shen, just because Shen's ult has a very long cooldown, and as Shen you don't itemize into magic resist very well, into cooldown reduction very well. A lot of tank CDR items come with mana. Abyssal Mask, Iceborne Gauntlet, which Shen, not being a mana-using champion, doesn't really want.
Oh, we do see a nice Taliyah ultimate coming down, and again, the Shen's just going to be flashing over the wall for his life there.
Yeah, Zadig is doing a really good job. He's been the subject of multiple ganks, but even though he's been forced to burn his flash every time, the ganks are spaced far enough apart that he's not really...
There goes the laser going on to the Morgana.
That's why you play Vel'Koz. You play Vel'Koz to make laser noises. Riftshield's going to be dropped in top, so they will claim the first tower. One thing to note is Just Drago is building a more damage-oriented Tom Kench. He's got Tiamat, he's got a dagger, which might be for, I'm not sure, Trinity Force, maybe Wit's End, but he's really relying on his base tankiness at this point, not actual tank stats, which will give him a lot of damage if he's slapping the Olaf or the Shen, but it doesn't fix his issue of target damage, and it could leave him vulnerable to being just CC'd and chained down during a team fight.
They're going to look for a turret dive here. They're going to be proccing the E. Taliyah doing nice damage to Shen, but he is really tanky, and is just going to live with just enough HP to back, reset, and get his farm again.
They are going to, they do pick up the 2 turrets top, so that is an early gold lead, with an early gold surge, for the side of Anarchy Navy, but notably because of the kill advantage on the side of Vengeance Esports, the gold is now essentially even. And a gold lead or gold evening from towers is actually in some ways bad, because not that's bad for the team that has it, but the thing is that there's still 2 towers top that Vengeance could take. Towers are essentially potential gold that you can claim, and so Anarchy Navy has already claimed 2 towers worth of potential gold. Vengeance has claimed 1, but they still can claim more. So if they take more towers, they'll be back to having a gold lead, even though it's currently even. It looks like it's going to be a Blade of the Ruined King Tom Kench. I've played against this. It's really annoying, but I don't know if it's good. So I'm really curious to see.
Will help him duel really well, but
is he really
curious.
looking to duel? Like, is that his job here? Is to be like a 1v1 duelist? I feel like you probably want him more as a frontliner because, you know, Morgana and Talia are not frontliners. They are not tanky. You need him to try to save the carries and to try to absorb the damage from Vel'Koz and Olaf. So, like, this Tom Kench has 1,700 health compared to...
Malzahar ulting over the wall onto the Soraka. Soraka actually burying, and then the Caitlyn ultimate. Oh! Soraka played herself. She flashed away from the Vel'Koz. When Vel'Koz flashed over to save her life with the Caitlyn ultimate. Vel'Koz laser going over the wall. They are going to be going on to Talia. And Ragnarok from the Olaf just falls short. He does flash onto the Talia, but it is not going to be enough to save his life there. We do see a big trade coming on the side of Anarchy Navy in this team fight.
Yeah, there's just unfortunate miscommunication there. Sovereign's like, all right, I'm going to save my support. I'll flash in and take the bullet. And Bulbasaur Squad is like, I'm going to flash and make this guy take the bullet. In return, Soraka eats it. It's a good Shen'el, but the problem is that Sapper Squad is just so squishy right now. He's got a little bit of magic resist from the Mercury's Treads, but he really doesn't have that much health. He has respawned, however, and is running to the dragon, notably because it's a Cloud Rift. He'll get there a little bit faster.
Yeah,
Esports may be able to zone them out. They popped the Talia.
Oh, Tom Kench is very low in HP right now. They did stay for a little bit longer than they want to, and all the members of Vengeance Esports are back and are ready for a round 2. Let's see what goes on here. We do see the team kind of split. Talia, Caitlyn on the bot side, Morgana and Malzahar on the top side of the river. And they're going to be picking up the Scuttle Crab here. And damage going down onto Olaf. Massive damage, but a huge Soraka ultimate goes on down to the Morgana. The Morgana falling. They are going to be collapsing down onto the Malzahar. Ultimate laser coming down onto Caitlyn. Now it's just Talia. Are they going to be able to pick her up? They are going to walk around the Talia ultimate there and do get the shutdown on Talia and a potential air dragon.
Yeah, Sapper Squad is so low there, but he get the kill on the Morgana gives him a Triumph proc. Soraka's keeping him alive, and the only anti-heal is on Tom Kench, who's walking back from base, doesn't even use the Abyssal Voyage, and the Caitlyn, who's zoned to the bottom of that fight and getting lasered to death by Vel'Koz. So there's no actual anti-heal on the Olaf. They're starting on a Morel and Nomicon for the Talia, but Olaf lives through so much that he probably shouldn't have there. The fight has gone on so long that Sovereign's ult comes back up, and he does a bunch of damage. Talia tries to ult out, but she gets hit by an undertow, and Talia can't ride the wall if she's in combat. So she just falls off the wall, and they pick her up with a little bit of damage there on the end, and they do pick up the 3rd dragon for themselves. And that extra ult CDR on someone like Soraka, whose ult is notably, Soraka has 10% CDR from Athene. She's got 10% ult CDR from the air drag. She has Transcendence, so it hasn't ticked yet. And I'm curious if she has... Okay, she doesn't have CDR in runes, but she's got 20% CDR, and it's still a 2-minute cooldown on her ultimate, more than 2 minutes. So she really appreciates that ult CDR. They do pick up the 2nd Rift Herald for the side of Anarchy Navy. They use the first one to get 2 towers top side. I think.
Oh, they're going in on an engage onto Soraka. Soraka actually going to be burying it down, but it's not going to be enough as she does fall to the Caitlyn there. Good pick on the side of Anarchy Navy.
Yeah, she's got a little bit of MR, 30 from the Athenes on Holy Grail, but it's just not enough, and with no way out of the, with no flash and no way out of the Morgana route, she gets picked off. Morgana did go Hextech GLP, so she can set up that slow field to make it very easy for her to hit her route, but it does mean that she is lacking that stopwatch because she did use her stopwatch in the fight around Dragon.
Yeah. Now, in this game here, we're seeing a lot of like heavy team fights into high objective gameplay here. What's really going to change the tides of this game? Is it going to be whoever wins the most team fights or whoever gets the most objectives?
So I don't tend to think of air drag as being a game-ending soul in the way that I would say Infernal or Ocean are. Like, I was playing a game earlier where my team was strongly ahead, the enemy team got Ocean Soul, and we didn't win a fight for the rest of the game, and it ended in like 10 minutes. So, like, Ocean Soul ends games. Cloud Soul doesn't, because its effects are a little bit less direct. Like, Cloud Soul doesn't make your abilities do more damage, it doesn't make you tankier, it doesn't make you harder to kill. I think that Baron is going to be huge here, because both teams are largely relying on magic damage for wave clear, from the Vel'Koz, the Morgana, the Malzahar, the Talia, and Baron-empowered minions take significantly reduced magic damage to the point where they mostly ignore it. So Vel'Koz will stall a push largely indefinitely, unless it's a Baron push, in which case it'll just walk into the tower. Vengeance, I think, are going to need to get Baron at some point if they want to win, because I don't see them breaking an inhib without it. So I think it'll be whoever wins. If Vengeance can win a fight around Baron, that will set them up for the win. I think for Anarchy Navy, it's a little trickier, and it probably involves them picking off the Soraka or one of the damage carries early on using all their pick tools, and then forcing team fights with that 4v5 or even 3v5.
Yeah, it should be definitely really interesting on what we're going to be seeing next. You do see a ward battle going down. They are really trying to secure this next dragon. I think that's where the next team fight will occur. And then depending on who wins that team fight will highly dictate on who's going to have the better control onto the Baron pit.
Yeah, and if you win a dragon fight, with enough of a lead, you can easily turn that into a Baron. A couple itemization things I would note. Shen did pick up Tiamat, combined with his Sunfire, makes him very good at sitting in sideways. He wave clears very well, so he can counter split pushes and then ult or TP into the fight. Olaf is starting on Spirit Visage. He might even put off his Black Cleaver for it, which I wouldn't hate, because the Empower healing, the magic resistance is all huge. But Hajime no Gildo already has a QSS. In addition to giving him MR to just resist the damage, it means that his chances of getting picked by the pick combo are very low if he uses it right. So it's now going to be very hard for them to pick him off, and they're going to have to look for maybe the Vel'Koz.
We do see a little bit of a split here. Olaf and Soraka are on the bot side, and that's where Anarchy Navy is going to engage on. Shen coming down with the ultimate as well, going to join his team, but they do take out Soraka in the backlines. You do see Caitlyn going to be forcing down onto the Olaf there. Massive ultimate coming down from Malzahar. They're going on to Shen here. He does fall to the Talia. They are going to be focusing down onto the Tahm Kench. The Tahm Kench is not going to be able to live. The Xayah is just going to be too much overall damage. You see Talia, you see Malzahar, you see Caitlyn. They're going to be focusing down onto the Vel'Koz, onto the Xayah. They are really going to push him out there. And they actually, Shen, before coming down here, notably, drop the Herald and is probably going to be cracking open a tower topside, potentially even an hidden hit.
Oh no, Sovereign's ult gets canceled by the silence.
Oh no, okay, flash barrier onto the Vel'Koz. Nice damage coming out though onto Malzahar. He does have the fruity juicies there just to heal him up as well. And during all of that, right before Shen ultied in on to the Malzahar, he drops the Herald, opens up the base to all new opportunities for Anarchy Navy here.
Yeah, so you see both teams' sort of ideas working relatively right there. They use the Talia ult to isolate the Olaf and the Soraka. Soraka's forced to barrier, flash, gets the Shen ult, and it does actually take them a while to kill her, particularly through the Shen ult, but she does fall to a flash Malefic Visions from the Malzahar. In the meantime, Olaf trades back. I think he killed Talia in that fight. It's just Drago tries to 1v1 the Xayah, but she's like, look, I'm a 2-item ADC. You're a Tahm Kench with a Blade of the Ruined King. You have no resists that I care about, and just machine guns him down. I actually thought the silence was really unfortunate for Vengeance Esports because it would have been very hard for Anarchy Navy to do Dragon with Vel'Koz alive and having ultimate because they didn't have any tanks. Tom Kench is dead and not that tanky anyway, and if any of them tried to tank it for too long,
Oh, do find an Olaf here. Are they going to be able to catch him? He does Ragnarok, and he is going to walk away, but the Tom Kench is going to be cutting him off on the top side. They are going to be coming down to Leo, just surfing along the wall there, picking up great damage and taking out Olaf here. What will happen next? It's anyone's game. They do have a huge objective in front of them. They could be taking the Baron here with Olaf being down.
It looks like they're not going to. They don't have a lot of gold. Talia has a fair amount of gold in pocket. She probably wants to finish off her Leandries. But again, the threat of being hit by the Vel'Koz damage during the Baron is pretty risky. It's kind of like Fiddlesticks or Ziggs or maybe Cassio or Anivia. He's one of those mages you don't want to contest Baron against unless you know that he's dead or forced out. Just because his ability to deal massive damage to people in tight quarters makes Baron very risky to attempt. And even if you do get the Baron, you would be at a lot of risk of, giving over multiple kills, potentially losing everyone, and thus losing the Baron that you just worked so hard to get. But you also see here, like, Malzahar, he's just throws out his Blunt Vision, throws out the Voidlings. He's not really in danger of dying. They're going to try to run down the Tom Kench here. They do have the chain slows.
Looks like they're just going to be forcing him out of this fight here. We do see a major turn onto the Morgana with the Shen, with the damage coming out from Xayah, taking out the Morgana. They're going to be trying to take out Caitlyn as well. Ult for ult on the side of Caitlyn and Xayah. And they're going to be immediately turning on to Baron, seeing Talia bot lane here, knowing that she isn't going to be able to come to this fight. Should be a pretty easy pick for them, but you see an immediate reaction from Anarchy Navy going on to side objectives, going on to get the inhibitors, and just counteracting the objective control all over the map here.
They're going to lose one inhibitor to the Tom Kench. The Bork Tom is pretty decent at taking objectives. So they'll lose the top lane. They may lose the bot tower, but they won't lose the bot inhib. No, they just save it! No,
oh no, it falls! And we do see the Olaf seeing the Tom Kench. They're going to give each other a little bit of a bro fist, and they're going to walk away.
Yeah, just a bit of damage traded there. The Tom Kench does have a lot of health, at least. Even if his resists are relatively... We do have Dragon coming up. The fact that there's an inhib down...
Ooh, Vel'Koz laser going out! Does massive damage to the Morgana, but she does live with her life there. I believe, I'm not sure if Caitlyn did heal the Morgana just to keep her a little bit alive there. They are going to be forcing down a turret, but with Morgana not being in the fight, geometry! Down goes Morgana. Huge objective coming up in 26 seconds. That's going to change the course of the next team fight for Dragon here. You see Olaf slowly rotating towards the Dragon, and probably eventually with his whole team also rotating with a bunch of wards.
Yeah, I think they should send Zadik to answer top lane, because Zadik has both his ult and his teleport available. It'd be very easy for him to get to Dragon. So I think they should put 4 people on the Dragon and have Shen go clear the way, but it looks like they're just going to focus on the Dragon. They started the back.
You see, Talia is going to be trying to do the drive-by, but gets knocked out by the Olaf. Olaf actually securing the Dragon. We do see another team fight. Ragnarok coming down, taking out the Tom Kench. Here comes the Vel'Koz. Did he have Talia in the side lanes? They do flash onto the Talia. I'm a fire, I'm a laser! Down goes Talia. Xayah doing some great damage as well. Really good team fight on the side of Vengeance Esports, but their turrets in the inhibitor, by the Nexus there, are in danger. One does fall with the amount of super minions going into their base.
Yeah, I think that's a fair trade. You do lose the Nexus Tower, which is always something you don't want to lose, but they pick up a shutdown on the Talia, they pick up multiple other kills, they pick up the Morgana early on, and then the Tom Kench as well. and they get the third dragon, which puts them on Soul Point. So Soul Point is it's an exceedingly powerful position to be in because it forces your opponent to answer all future dragons. Like, if Baron and Dragon come up at the same time, they'll be up relatively close to each other. Anarchy Navy can't not be at Dragon because they give over Soul if they do. Which means that Vengeance have a choice. They're like, okay, if we feel strong enough, and they have about a 1,500 gold lead, so it's pretty much even at this point, they could choose to go for Dragon and take the team fight and try to get the Soul. Or they could go for Baron. They're like, look, they have to be at Dragon. They have to try to do Dragon. We'll just take Baron. Like, they have a 3-item 9-0 Zaya. She has Rapid Fire Cannon, Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge. She will do a lot of damage to this Baron. She doesn't have lifesteal yet, but given I'd expect her to finish the Mercurial Scimitar next for that. Like, they have a lot of threat on any neutral objective they choose. Shen's getting very tanky. He's got his Titanic Hydra. He's building probably Spirit Visage next. Like, Zadig is now the 3,000 health frontliner they need. He has over 1,000 health more than the Tom Ketch, who is sitting on a bunch of components. Like, he's got one completed item, Blade of the Ruined King, and everything else is just components. It looks like it's going to be either a Gargoyle Stone Plate or a Sunfire Cave, but either way, he needs some tankiness, and he needs it real fast.
Yeah, you do see probably going to be a big just rush down the mid lane here with the Caitlyn. Just that she is a big threat into the mid game. Quickly talking about some power spikes here. How do you think each team favors?
I think that right now the item. Oh, there's a fight in bot lane.
You see a little bit of a nom fest, and the two tanks really trying to hit each other. The tank, Tom Kent, is going to just try and get the Shen to half HP, but the Soraka is going to come in and completely negate everything that just happened.
Yeah, so the mid lane tier 2 does fall for Vengeance, but I think they'll be able to defend the inhibitor turret and not lose the inhibitor. Their other inhibitor has also respawned. See, they do a lot of damage to the Sovereign there, but even through River Boom, Soraka's gonna kill him.
Oh, Caitlyn actually has to flash away there. And rightfully so, because she was in a lot of danger. She heals as well, and has to flash out of that fight because that Zaya is very strong. That Burb will murder on sight.
And she's being empowered by an Ardent Sensor, Soraka. So notably, she's getting bonus attack speed and bonus magic damage on hit whenever she gets the heal or shield from Raka. Raka's also working on a redemption, which will give her even more healing. To be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing Soraka go for a... okay, I don't think you can really do Mikhail's and Athene's together. So she could do a Shurelya's afterwards as well, because Shurelya's Reverie does give heal and shield power as well. Oh, there is a QSS on the Vel'Koz. He does pay the Malzahar tax. It's always awkward for mages because they don't want to build into it, but...
Ooh, laser beam coming out, but not able to take out the Caitlyn. Very low, might I add. She won't be here for this next major team fight. They're going to be starting up the Baron. You do see Tom Kent really posturing in front of them as well. They are going to have to either react right now or take the Baron full-heartedly. You see the Soraka ultimate coming down. You do see the re-engage onto the Tom Kent now. You see the Ragnarok promming the Olaf, running for his life there. Here comes Shen. The Shen's going to be ulting down on to the Olaf there. Olaf and Soraka are just a massive combo right now that I'm watching. You're seeing the Soraka just overall heals is really punishing the enemy team. There goes the Malzahar, flash in from Olaf. They're going to be doing some nice damage onto the Caitlyn. Zaya taking out Caitlyn, and you do see Shen trying to just push off the Talia. She is running out of mana, and you do see the minions in the base there. You might see a Talia just trying to do something pretty sneaky, actually. No, she's going to run for her life there. Back to the Baron pit she goes, and nice response on the side of Vengeance Esports to see that the minions were in the base and just to let go of to Baron and reset for the next big team fight.
They're pathing bot, which I think is the correct play. Olaf is still dead for 15 seconds. Warwolves using his healing can probably tank the dragon. Yurmord will get bonus healing. Yeah, with Tom Kent in there. They will pick up the dragon, so both teams are now on soul point, which for Anarchy Navy helps to delay the chance that Vengeance Esports pick up this Air Soul. So it's a really good turn, I think, from Vengeance. They correctly recognize we don't want to sit in the pit and take damage from Malzahar. We're going to just try to turn. The Olaf and Shen dive is well executed. What happens is Raka gets hit by a Caitlyn ult, and I think Baron kills her. So they lose their healing, and then from there, they basically there's trade kills in different like little 1v1 and 2v2 skirmishes. And overall, Bulbasaur squad.
Oh no.
It's okay.
They're safe. Nice silence on to the Malzahar. If that Malzahar was in range, he was going to be doing his own little laser beam himself, going down onto the Soraka. But you do see the nice silence coming out here. You do see a pick and a potential fight about to occur as well. This is going to be a big like team fight and will change the course of this game. Whoever wins this next team fight is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Both teams have it controlled in the pit, though Anarchy Navy has now cleared out Vengeance Esports control ward. Olaf is going to drop another, so both know that the Baron is not being done. They're pushing in the mid wave, so I think Vengeance is kind of hoping someone's going to need to answer that. They're going to aggro the Baron, get some good damage onto Talia.
See Olaf blast coning over the wall there into some massive damage from Caitlyn, and then just falling short. The laser beam coming now from downtown, not able to really pick up anyone. They are going to be going down onto the Malzahar. They do take out the Morgana there, and then you see the geometry coming out. They do massive damage onto the Caitlyn. They're going out to take out the Vel'Koz. Talia is doing some massive damage herself. Rocks are powerful. And now you just see the Soraka keeping the Shen alive, really focusing out this team fight. And now is a 3-for-3 exchange. A flash from Tom Kent into the Ignite, taking out Soraka. 4-for-3 exchange.
Yeah, so he's trying to run down the Shen here. I don't know. Oh, they're gonna.
Here comes the Talia into the ultimate here, and they are on the other side of the wall. But that's going to be a free inhibitor for them.
Yeah, Olaf's up in 5, so I don't think they're going to be able to go any farther. They don't even have a minion wave, but so Olaf blast cones over the wall of Baron Pit in an attempt to get the Talia, who is taking damage from Baron and is about half health. The problem is that I don't know if it was a cooldown issue or just a miscommunication. Zadik, there's a brief delay before Zadik uses the Stand United. And so Olaf gets chunked out and basically dies before he really gets any damage in there. I think what they probably needed to do was have Zadik ult preemptively. The shield does scale for Shen ult based on the target's missing health. So the lower that the person you're ulting is, the bigger the shield is. So it's very tempting to wait and try to use the shield very late. However, I think in this case they needed to use it early on as a way to just deliver Shen into the fight, so that he could get in there and get some pops off. They do take out the Malzahar.
Oh, we see the Bork going down onto Soraka there and blowing up Soraka. That Caitlyn is doing some massive damage with her crits there.
Yeah, the issue with Soraka is just she doesn't have any escapes. She doesn't have much in the way of defensive stats, much in the way of health. So getting hit by any kind of pick, in this case the Blade of the Ruined King active from It's Just Drago, means that she's very easy to pick off and very vulnerable to dying. They're going to show this in. Vel'Koz has excellent wave clear, so they're going to get a little bit of damage, but not very much in the tower.
Yeah, Anarchy Navy coming large in that last team fight, and you're going to really see them do this again. Really just going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Elixir coming out onto Caitlyn. She's a little bit larger than normal. If you notice, she just wants to stay alive and doing the damage that she needs to do in team fights.
Yeah, I think she recognized that her team has enough damage sources that she doesn't necessarily need the small amount of AD you get from the Elixir of Wrath, and the extra HP could make a huge difference.
Then again, whoa! Landing on a cupcake, Talia goes down.
Yeah, that's huge because was a 12-1 Xayah. Without, like, that was the real threat. If they tried to dive, Xayah would have just machine gunned them all. But with her down, one of the biggest damage threats is now down. They're going to catch the Shen here.
Ooh, massive damage coming out from Anarchy Navy. Very great performance, really great. Honestly, macro play and just countering objectives this game has gotten them 3 inhibitors here. And that's going to be huge if they want to just walk into the base next. They can do a quick reset, walk into the base, and have just this obliteration from just super minions. Already 1 turret down, so they only really have to focus on the 1 extra turret here. And they are going to be picking up the Cloud Soul as well.
I think a lot of the issue is Yermord is not yet level 18 and yet is full build. And notably, he's got 2 flat pen items, he's got the Andres, he's got the Void Staff. Like, he is perfectly set up for tank killing. So even though Zadik and Sapper Squad have a lot of MR, like, Zadik has Merc Treads and Adaptive Helm. Sapper Squad has Spirit Visage, Merc Treads, and starting on Adaptive Helm. Like, they just take so much damage from the Talia and just get bursted down. They're gonna go in.
Here goes the laser beam. There goes the Olaf. Talia actually picking up the Baron here into a massive 3-person taunt there from Shen, but there's not enough people around him to keep him alive. Good damage on to the front line there from the Xayah, but they do fall with the Talia picking up the Olaf, and super minions are heading into the base.
Yeah, every flash is on cooldown from Anarchy Navy. It was a really good taunt flash from Zadik. He catches so many people, but they only managed to pick up 1 kill. Partially because Hajime no Gildo, I don't know if he hits a trap or something, but he takes a lot of damage from the Caitlyn, and he's forced to go into the Featherstorm just to save himself, which means he's not putting out DPS. They're going to try to frantically PvE here, but there's so many supers that they're going to lose at least the base turret.
These super minions are large and in charge. Winions, as you call them. They're going on to the Nexus, doing huge amounts of damage. Laser beam coming out, but it's not going to be enough. Here comes the Malzahar. Here comes the Morgana. The cavalry have arrived, and they will be slowly marching it down and ending this game here.
Really well played. There were a lot
Here's the
of
last
really
hit ever. The Olaf going to be Ragnaroking in, the Shen following suit, but they do take down the Talia. Massive damage coming out. Caitlyn getting a double kill. Caitlyn looking for more. Caitlyn getting a quadra and does not quite get the penta before the game is finished by the super minions. GG Anarchy Navy. Very well played. Very just the great macro play from Anarchy Navy and the reaction that they had when Olaf was doing one thing, Talia was doing another. When one side of the map was doing one thing, they were doing something on the other. They were forcing objectives. They knew they could win some team fights. They knew their win clause, and they just kept kind of they weren't really like stomping, but they were slowly marching, knowing what they needed to do, and just developing a blueprint for this game, because it was around almost 45 minutes long of a game. But it didn't feel like it. It felt for them that it was very well paced and well organized, and they come up big with a huge victory from Anarchy Navy.
Yeah, I had some doubts, particularly when the Tom. Basically, I kind of figured that when the Tom Kench didn't kill the Shen by level 6, that it was probably game. But really good picks onto key members of Vengeance Esports, and I think really good itemization, particularly by the Talia, in order to just saw through that front line, means that Anarchy Navy do claim the win. They come up clutch in a few team fights around objectives, which they then use to win the game.
Very well said here. And final thoughts on MVP and ace of the game.
I think MVP for me would be Yermord on the Talia. I think that there were parts where I thought the Olaf was doing better in terms of objective control and pressure across the map, but I think his itemization was really key. He knew that the enemy team was going to be building a lot of MR, and so he specifically counter-built to kill these high MR tanks, these high health tanks like the Olaf and Shen. My ace choice, gotta be Hajime no Dildo. Like, dude had pop-off fights around Dragon, ended I think 12-3, and was really 12-1 up until the very last moment. Like, that was an absolute carry performance from him. And I think that in game 2, Anarchy Navy are going to need to make sure that they keep pressure on the bot lane and don't let him just scale out, because there were a lot of fights where a few lucky crits or just like a few more autos where Xayah isn't threatened would have totally swung the fight.
Very well said there. And when we come back, folks, we're going into round 2 of Vengeance Esports versus Anarchy Navy. Hello and welcome back, folks. Here we are going into round 2 of Anarchy Navy versus Vengeance Esports. What a thrilling game last time here. Phoenix, what are your takeaways and what do you kind of want to see from last game, and what do you want to see this game here?
So yeah, last game was, in technical terms, a slobber knocker. So really long, really hard-fought game. I think that my takeaways for this are, I want a little more cohesion from Vengeance Esports regarding some of their engages. I think that they had a good comp that worked well together, but I think that there were points where, like, the Olaf would go in, the Shen was a little late, or the Shen would be going in when, the carries are zoned off on one side. And that's something that's really hard to do. Like, that kind of cohesion and nuanced shot calling is very difficult on the fly, and something my team struggles with as well, particularly when, like, if you're used to playing engage tanks, it's really easy to be like, oh, I see a great engage, I'm going to go for it, and not necessarily realize that your carries are not in position to follow up. For Anarchy Navy, I think that I want to see them put more attention on the bot lane, because the Hajime no Gildo almost hard carried that game, and he is back on his Xayah in game 2. So I think that a lot of this will be how much impact does he have, and can Anarchy Navy try to shut him down?
Very well said. Let's quickly jump into the picks and bans here, and I want to hear your thoughts and inputs on what these two teams have to bring to the table here.
So I double checked in game. The Jhin is not. The Jhin is Warwick for Anarchy Navy. So it is a Galio support, Caitlyn bot, Syndra mid, Warwick jungle, Darius top, and then pretty much all standard lane allotments for Vengeance. The looking at some of the matchups, I mean, Dr. Mundo just loses to Darius. That's just how it is. Darius is very much a hard counter to tanks who don't do a lot of damage early, and so Mundo will probably be forced to resort to sort of farming with cleavers and lasting under tower. However, Zadig was in an unfavorable matchup in the first game and did very well, and wasn't that far behind on CS. So I actually think that he might be doing all right here. And Mundo is just such a pain to deal with in later game because he just kind of rolls past your front line and slaps your carries to death. Hajime no Gildo is back on the Xayah, and this time Sovereign will be on the Malzahar. Last time he was on Vel'Koz against the Malzahar. For the side of Anarchy Navy, I think that they've got a lot of early game power. Warwick and Darius, very strong early game champs. Caitlyn, a very strong early laning champ. But I think the question is, can they translate that to mid to late game team fights as well is going to be a question. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like Galio support. Galio is a very strong laning support, but my issue is that particularly on a support budget, he's just not very tanky in the late game. And I feel like when he's played in pro play, you see it a lot as well, where he does well in lane, and then he just dies a lot later on. So I think that Anarchy Navy have overall very good lane setups, but can they transition that to a good mid to late game is going to be an open question. Whereas with Vengeance, I think that, scaling top, scaling bottom, utility-ish mid, the question for them is, can they weather the storm, and can Lee Sin do anything to sort of turn these lane matchups? Because if Lee Sin can win one of these unfavorable lanes for Vengeance, then that can turn the game on its head real quick.
Very true, and I'm very excited to watch these two teams collide. And without further ado, folks, let's jump right on into this next game.
So, looking at Runes and Masteries, pretty standard stuff. We did see comment on Sovereign's Malzahar, which is a little unusual. Comet is really good if you are a champion whose poke includes a slow, because that essentially guarantees the Comet hit, particularly before anyone has boots. Malzahar doesn't have that, so Malzahar can't guarantee the Comet damage. So if Malzahar wants poke, he tends to go airy. We do see a double mirror invade here, so everyone's basically just going to find themselves. They're like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, basically, where they're like, yo, where is everybody? We see the Grasp in top lane. We do see Conqueror on the Warwick. I tend to favor press the attack because Warwick stacks it very quickly, and it amplifies his damage, particularly because he is not a champion who scales very well off of raw damage. He doesn't build a lot of AD. He doesn't have really good AD scalings, per se. And so using the press the attack to amplify his on-hit damage is often just as good. But Conqueror will give him better sustain in really drawn-out fights against, like, the Mundo and the Rammus. And we do see Electrocute on the Syndra, which, as opposed to Phase Rush, which is a bit more kiting-oriented, is going to be very much a hard burst play. They're going to be going for the red buff, which is going to be spotted out.
Is it going to steal? Oh, it doesn't quite connect onto the red buff there. Very close on the side of Vengeance Esports.
Yeah, I think Yermord could have smited it, but he may not have realized or reacted in time. And if Xayah grabs it and gets to lane faster, that's very much a thanks for the leash, all chat. and then enjoy your red buff lane. Notably, it's just Drago was staying behind toward the red buff, so they will realize that Rammus is going for the red here, but it means that Mundo got the first wave, and Darius actually missed the first 3 melees, so he will not hit level 2 on this creep here. Okay,
quickly look at the roam from mid lane from Warwick, immediately going on to the collapse on the Rammus. You even see Darius coming down for this as well, and Malzahar trying to re-engage onto this. You do get a nice flash from the Darius going in with the Q with the flash out from Rammus as well. It's going to be big for Warwick. Getting 3 major buffs is going to put him ahead early.
It is. I think it was a very good flash from Sapper Squad, though. Notably, oh, good hook on the Caitlyn.
Ooh, nice hook from the Thresh from downtown. Going in onto the Caitlyn, exhausting her down. She does have to flash away. Both laners are very low here. And Rammus also incredibly low. Here comes the Warwick. He smells blood. He wants more. He sees the Rammus in the jungle and actually gets first blood on him and gets his blue buff as well. This Warwick is getting huge objectives right in this early part of the game here. And it's going to be very excited to see what he's going to transition this into and what he's going to be doing for his team because of it.
And that's just really unfortunate for Sapper Squad. Like, Rammus is not the strongest early jungler, but losing both of his buffs and his life there is really going to hurt him, going to send behind. He's level 2, is going to have a slow time to level 6, whereas Warwick is already level 3, very close to level 4. Sapper Squad did a good job flashing away from the counter invader red buff, but it does mean that he's pretty low and is picked off at this point. He's going to be doing his Krug now, so he'll probably be safe for a while. He might be able to look to gank bot lane. Caitlyn has no sums left, and so I think that pressuring that bot lane makes a lot of sense, particularly because of what a strong point it was for Vengeance in Game 1.
You see some nice trading going on, and then you see just the massive level advantage from the Rammus to the Warwick being a 2-level advantage for Warwick, as well as getting double scuttle control as well, and potentially even an early dragon. He is pretty powerful with those early aggression picks here. We do see a nice engage going in onto the Galio, going on to Xayah, and does pick up the Xayah. You do see mid lane getting a gank off there. The Rammus does land his E, but the Syndra is going to be flashing away. Great calls from the side of Anarchy Navy here. Really keeping it safe and really kind of, you see once again, this kind of just, with step 1, we do this. Step 2, we do that. Step 3, profit, you know?
Yeah, and they're going to be looking for the dragon here, which there's not really a chance for Rammus to answer, so I think you just have to let it go. With the bot lane control they have, and Warwick had both buffs early. As someone who plays Warwick, a lot of times what matters most to your ability to do early drag is having buffs, because red buff gives you a lot of damage to dragon, and Warwick is pretty mana intensive, particularly for his healing. And so the mana restore and cooldown reduction from blue buff makes a huge difference to your ability to do dragon safely. So it is currently 2-0 with about 1,000 gold lead on the side of Anarchy Navy. A lot of that is, I'm going to assume, being on the jungle. Yeah, it's about a 600-700 gold lead for Warwick over Rammus. Other lanes look like they're close to even. Yeah, about a 200 gold lead in the bot lane. Actually curious as to why suppressed MP5 is not more ahead. Oh, he only has the assist. He didn't get the count.
Yeah, so we do another engage onto the Thresh. Big damage coming out onto Thresh, picking up the kill for the Caitlyn here. That's going to be really impressive. This Galio has been going in onto the Thresh pretty consistently and getting some really nice taunts off as well, really helping the ADC out here. And we do see a gank mid lane. Here comes the Rammus, and he's going to be doing a nice frenzying taunt into the Malzahar ultimate. Here comes Darius. He's going to be in the same amount of danger, but he's going to be trying to pick up the Malzahar as he flashes away here. Is he going to be able to pick him up? I don't think he has the range to do so, and the Thresh Lantern coming out The Darius is in the jungle, but is going to escape back to his team here. And Warwick just covering over top side.
Yeah, so that's a very good gank. Sovereign TP's in, and Midmaster's like, ah, he's TPing in. I'm going to get some free trade damage. But Sapper Squad comes out of the bushes, heard you were talking shit, and he knows the Midmaster doesn't have flash, so it's a very easy taunt into Nether Grasp for the kill, and then a good flash from Sovereign gets him out of the way, and means that he doesn't fall to Darius. And with Darius burning his TP, Zadig did amass a 17 CS lead and get a talent plate, so that's going to feel real nice for Mundo, a champion who has been pressured someone in this lane, been farming under tower. Just picking up some extra gold for himself means that he actually now has a 300 gold lead over Darius. He's functionally a kill up on Darius. And with both his Bambi Cinder and his Chain Vest, he should be sitting pretty strong here. When you're a champion who builds a phage item like Cleaver or Triforce, and you're against a tank, if they get Sunfire before you get your phage item, you're done. Because it just is such a huge tankiness spike compared to when you get your damage spike, that if Zeta can finish off the Sunfire very quickly, he can actually begin trying to take over this lane and just like slapping the Darius down.
Yeah, once again, you do see exactly what you're talking about. They are going to have that nice slap fight there. Flash, and then there goes the ultimate from Darius. Is the chip damage? No, Mundo ultimate is going to negate the dot of the Darius there. And both of them are going to be leaping. You see a Malzahar ulting onto the Syndra. Flash from the Rammus into the Chilling Smite, into the knockup with his Q there. And taking out the kill onto Syndra. That's some really good, just heavy aggression to the mid lane here with Rammus onto Syndra.
Yeah, and that's a really good play. Oh, dive top.
Oh, here we can see a dive top lane. Here comes the Warwick. He's gonna do some nice chip damage. Down goes the Mundo, and they come out on top there with the Warwick just going to be ulting out of the turret range, and a pretty nice secure turret extra plates for the Darius.
Yeah, that'll do a lot to equalize that gold. And in fact, yeah, Darius is now 600 gold ahead of the Mundo, so we've seen a huge gold swing in the top lane. I do like the decision making by Sapper Squad to gank mid, because he
you can hear the Powerball topside with the TP coming down. Rammus is going to be cutting off the Darius here. He is level 6 now, so he's going to have his Tremors and massive damage going on to the Darius, making him fall down to the Armadillo himself. This might lead to a potential Rift Herald for the Rammus, which is going to be really nice for him after being so far behind in the early game.
Yeah, like he still has half of the CS of Warwick. He's still about 700 gold down, so like Rammus needs whatever gold he can get. So I like the decision to gank mid. One of the things as a jungler is recognize which of your lanes are good at helping you gank versus which are not. Like Malzahar has some of the best gank assist in the game because he literally has a point-and-click suppression. So it's really easy to gank for him. So he's like, all right, I'm going to gank for him. They are going to go for the dragon here on the side of Anarchy Navy. Rammus is clearing his blue buff, so I don't think he'll be able to get there in time. Yeah, they will not be able to contest that.
Yeah, we do see another Cloud Drake coming in, Cloud Soul, I should say, for this game here. Who do you think favors in getting this, and why do they want it?
So, I think that Galio would benefit a lot, just because Galio ult does have a pretty long cooldown. Warwick ult benefits a lot as well, just because Warwick doesn't itemize into CBR very much, and his ult doesn't have a very long cooldown. It's 110 seconds at level 1, slightly shorter than a normal ultimate. That's not how you usually gank your Mord. You don't just
no, it's the Uno reverse card. The bot lane's in the bush, and then there they go, going in with the nice taunt from the Galio. The Rammus has gonna be coming as well. You see the Galio ult coming down, the Caitlyn doing her nice damage there. Rammus going onto the Caitlyn. Rammus does fall to the Galio, and they aren't really quite able to land that taunt on to the Thresh. You do see a flash coming out from Caitlyn, trying to pick up the Thresh, but immediately in response to that, Thresh does flash away there as well. And before the 14-minute mark, this is going to be a lot of turret plate going to Warwick, going to Galio, going to Caitlyn.
Yeah, especially with the Galio Colossal Smash giving him extra damage. That was a really good bait. Euromord makes it look like they have left the lane and that he's just covering, and then Galio flash Justice punches out of the bush. They do a good job. Jimmy no Gildo does an excellent job surviving for quite a while, but they just don't have enough damage. Like, they have a Rammus who's behind, and he's, a tank jungler, a Thresh, and a Xayah. And so they don't have as much damage as the Warwick Caitlyn does, and they just get out DPS in that fight. So they do lose the first tower. Hajime no Gildo does not go down in that fight, but he is about 1,500 gold behind the Caitlyn. Caitlyn already has her Storm Razor and her boots too, whereas Hajime no Gildo is still trying to get Justice Reaver. He's still like 1,200 gold off of it, and then he would have to get boots too. So he's pretty far behind Caitlyn in terms of itemization, partially because he did buy that cult. It will help make up some of the gold once he completes it and sells it, but for right now, it's just a small amount of AD and a little bit of extra gold.
It should be pretty interesting to see how these lanes are going to be transitioning to the next phases of the game here. What do you think each team needs to do to really help double down on their win conditions?
I think that for Vengeance, you need to funnel gold on the top lane. I don't know if that means Hajime no Gildo goes mid, if that means you have Bulbasaur Squad or Sapper Squad shadow him, but you need money onto Xayah. Like,
Sorry to interrupt you, but it looks like we're going to have a nice engage with the Rammus going in onto the Caitlyn there, getting some nice damage off. You do see the Xayah going to be trying to chip down on the Galio, but from the downtown, you see Malzahar ulting down onto Caitlyn, securing the kill there. Big damage going down onto Galio, big damage going down onto Warwick, into double kill going over to Xayah.
Yeah, really good. That's exactly what they need to do. Like, the Sapper Squad forces the engage, and it looks like it's maybe not going to go great when they both get taunted by Werewolves, but then Bulbasaur Squad and Sovereign are right there. They lock up the Caitlyn, they get the kill, and then at that point, Galio is just kind of a tank, and it gets, chipped down.
They want more. They do get the Frenzying Taunt into the Thresh, Hook, and Flay, securing down Syndra, the kill dropping and going over to the Rammus.
And that's really huge because Mid-Master's pretty far behind at this point. He's been ganked quite heavily, and the Rammus Malzahar combo is very difficult to answer. I don't think they're going to be able to get they don't get the tower just because Malzahar minions don't tank tower very effectively. They only tank one shot each. But this wave should get it, which will be a nice bit of gold in his pocket. Sovereign does not have TP, but I think that he needs to back very quickly so that he can spend his gold. He's sitting on 1,700, so he can finish like his delays right now, or get most of the way to his Leandries, and then be ready for this dragon. Because I think that the overall gold has actually swung back in favor of Vengeance Esports by a narrow margin, and so I think they're actually now positioned to fight for this dragon. Like, Darius is building Sheen, and he's just kind of sitting in a side lane. Mundo has his TP if he really wants to use it. But, like, Malzahar is very strong. He's got the relays. Xayah has now finished an item. They do need to get in there, though. The TP is coming out.
You see the TP coming down from the Darius there. And then the Mundo TPing in as well. Nice Thresh ultimate box there. And you do see nice chip damage coming down from the Syndra, coming down from Caitlyn. Xayah with a massive Feather Storm going in. And the Warwick going to be trying to live with his life. The Mundo is going to go onto the Warwick there. Onto the side lanes, we're going to be quickly looking at the danger, Caitlyn, danger. Galio, I should say. The Caitlyn's just coming up huge and just staying alive and really well positioned in all of these team fights. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Suppressed MP5 has been playing very well. You even saw this last game, well, even being a little bit far behind, coming back strong and really positioning in spots where the team can't really get at her, can't really get at the Caitlyn, and very well done on their part here.
Yeah, so it starts off kind of rough because the dragon's already gone down, and realistically, you probably shouldn't look to engage at that point. But The Thresh gets hooked by the Darius, who's coming off of the teleport and has bonus movement speed. And it actually looks okay for Vengeance for a bit because Darius doesn't get the reset. He ults Thresh, but because of the Lantern Shield, he doesn't kill him. And so he doesn't get the ability to just penta down with the team. Warwick then ults the Xayah, but Xayah gets hit by the Warwick gets hit by the Malzahar ultimate, which cancels his ult. Warwick is unstoppable during his ult leap, but not during the period where he's latched onto someone. This gives Xayah the ability to Featherstorm out, and the two carries trade a lot of damage back. Mundo runs down the Warwick before he dies, but essentially Rammus is just too low at this point and gets picked off by the Q flash out of It's Just Drago. But I think that this shows how far Vengeance have come. A few minutes ago, that fight would have been just, a disaster for them. And now they lose Dragon, but it's a 3-for-2. They're going to need to be ready for the next Dragon, but they're now basically even, and they can start taking these fights again. Partially because their tank line has started to actually tank up, and is now in a position to
we get the engage in on from Thresh. Galio flashing away here. We're gonna see a big fight erupt in just a couple seconds. These two teams are angry and they want a round 2 from last time, right at Dragon Pit. Whoever gets this might be able to pick up Shelly, depending on how fast this team fight goes.
There's a lot of flashes down on the side of both teams, but Rammus's flash is about to come up.
Oh, nice hook on to the Caitlyn, and the Thresh immediately responding, going in, and then they quickly respond back to get them off. But then the Malzahar is going to be ulting over the wall onto Caitlyn, getting that down. The Warwick ulting over the wall, getting to Malzahar. You do see the Xayah, big damage going down. She is going to be attacking the Galio. They do take out the Rammus. The Rammus does fall to the Syndra here. We do see some nice damage. Flash in from Xayah. Now they're going to be going on to the minions and possibly pushing up this mid turret into another major objective. Oh yeah, the Shelly's still up. So if they do this, they do get a little bit of extra time to complete it. So let's see if they can pick this up as well.
They're going to have to be faster, but they should be able to get this. Mundo can tank it, so I have plenty of damage. So they hook the Caitlyn there. And notably, you're stunned while you're fresh hooked, but if he pulls himself to you, you're not stunned during the travel duration. So Caitlyn flashes back to the safety of her team, and Thresh is kind of left in the middle of them without enough damage to finish the Caitlyn off. But she does go down, I think, to Malzahar, probably. And then Darius goes into the back line of Vengeance, but he just gets CC'd and taunted by the Rammus, and Xayah just machine guns him. He is going Cleaver into Trinity Force. He's doubling up on the Phage items. Partially, it'll give him a lot of damage, but again, not very tanky. He's got Merc Treads because of how much CC there is. There's 4 MR champs, 4 AP champs on the side of...
Ooh, flash over the wall from the Ram. It's going in onto 3 people. Is that... Oh, he does fall. The Caitlyn, the Syndra, and the Galio can really just hold him back. I think that was just a little bit of a miscommunication there. They did have everyone roaming to mid lane. I think it was just a little bit of a...
Yeah, maybe a little overeager. It's a very bad time for him to die, because now Anarchy and Navy are going to have the positional control.
Ooh, nice hook again from Thresh, landing it onto the Caitlyn. She does fall to the Malzahar, but the Xayah is going to be exhausted. Warwick ulted, but she does a Featherstorm. Is it going to be enough to save her life? She falls down to the Darius. Shut down.
The first MP5 is down. Zadig is pushing with the Rift Herald. He's going to get a second tower here, but he needs to immediately rush the Dragon, because otherwise they're going to lose the soul here, and they don't want to give that over.
Yeah,
Soul's not game ending, but it's
more importantly, it brings up Elder. Elder Dragon can be a huge change of the game here from both teams.
True. If the opposing team has soul but you have Elder, you will almost certainly win. Because Elder is just such a fight ender. Because particularly as a frontliner, Elder sucks to fight against. Because you're going to take so much ambient damage from people that it's really hard to not drop that low, and you just get executed before you can kind of do anything. So Syndra's sitting in the side lane. Mid-Master has clawed his way back. He was 0-3. He's now 3-3 for 300 gold shutdown. So he's done a really good job getting important picks, getting important damage.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I wanted to talk about here about how like both teams have been almost keeping directly even, and just going into the next major team fight is going to be a huge turning point in this game, and whoever really comes out on top of that should be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think the gold is even, but we have to keep in mind the soul here, which is on the side of Anarchy Navy. It's not as good as, say, an Infernal or an Ocean Soul, but it is pretty potent. And I think that we need to make sure that, like, Bulbasaur Squad is hitting great hooks, but Vengeance need to make sure that whoever gets hooked dies in the hook animation. I also think that Hajime no Gildo needs a QSS.
Oh, we do see the Mundo getting engaged on. The Thor's Lantern coming out, but the Mundo's just going to flash back into the Tri-Bush and go back to his team that way. He is pretty tanky, so it's not going to really affect him too much here. He still has ultimate up and everything, too. Oh, the Caitlyn is getting caught down by the Rammus. The Galio coming up and down, slamming down onto Rammus. Rammus falling short. We do see another team fight erupting on the other side of the blue buff here. We see Malzahar picking up the Darius, Zaya picking up the Caitlyn, and then you do see the Warwick going in onto the Zaya. She was really low, so he can really just hunt her down as a predator as he is, and now they're going to be looking for a Baron here.
Yeah, so Sapper Squad they get a really good taunt onto, they get a Zaya root onto the Caitlyn into a taunt, but once again, suppressed MP5 doesn't quite die in the CC chain, and Galio gets taunted. Galio taunts the Rammus, they then use the Galio ult, and he doesn't quite go down. This is a pretty slow Baron take, notably. Warwick needs to be, he needs Baron to get low before he starts DPSing it. Galio's kind of low, so they might be able to try and interrupt this, but with Darius there, I think they're going to have the damage to finish this off.
You see Syndra is going to be blocking, but here comes the Doctor himself, going in, trying to go in for the steal. Nice fresh hook onto the Darius. The exhaust going down onto Darius here. They're going to try and do some nice damage, but Caitlyn coming in, responding back, taking out Thresh. You see another great fight erupting into the Baron pit there, and they do pick up the Mundo, but the Darius is probably going to be falling down to the dot from Malzahar, and double kill onto Malzahar here. Great pickup. He picks up the Caitlyn, he picks up the Darius, and now they're going to be trying to see more objectives, more turrets, some extra gold coming in on the side of Vengeance Esports.
Yeah, so Vengeance are probably going to try to push for this mid lane turret. Galio does have Baron and is going to be here to answer, but I think they'll probably get it. Notably, the two people who died and thus lost Baron.
Galio going in, some nice damage, and the Rammus is going to be coming out right from the side there with the Warwick responding as well. Galio going right back in, getting a nice double stun, taunt rather, onto the Rammus, onto the Zaya, and they get some they get a kill off of the Rammus off of that, I believe, with the Syndra R.
Yes, yeah, Syndra R is on cooldown. What I was going to say is, notably the two people who did die and lose Baron are Caitlyn and Darius, which is probably the people you want it most off of, which is the ADC and the split pusher. Like, Darius with Baron is able to just sit in a side lane and take towers. Darius without Baron is less of a threat to doing so. So I think that Vengeance need to look for a pick here, maybe on the Syndra, and try to get one or two of the Barons off, because that'll really stall the push. They haven't lost anything yet, and I can't tell on replays how much of it is down, but I suspect the Baron is probably close to half over, and, you know, Darius got a tier 1 tower. If you lose a tier 1 tower with a Baron, like, that's not that bad. They're only about 3,000 gold down.
You do see the Warwick ultimate coming down and taking out the Thresh with the Galio there, and we're gonna just see more team fights happening.
Yeah, they're looking to set up around Elder with the Thresh down, though. I think Thresh may be up before the Elder spawns. With the Thresh down, that's one of their big engage tools and big pick tools. Yeah, and they're taking the blast from there, so Vengeance Esports won't have that blast cone to try to get into the pit. Warwick's backing here. My guess would be for Spirit Visage, yeah, for a Spirit Visage. And probably the start of an armor item would have been my guess. Ruby Crystal, could be anything.
Yeah, it's gonna be this is gonna be a big team fight, and you see Anarchy Navy really just showing their team fight potential and showing how much damage they can really do with their positioning, with their front to back team comp. And
Thresh is almost here.
Here goes Thresh, landing a hook onto Galio there, getting that box out. Here goes the damage from Caitlyn, from the damage from Syndra. They're going to be going onto Syndra this time. Rammus is going to be trying to poke her down, but it's not going to be enough. They do have a Darius protecting the backline there, and you do see the Caitlyn just doing nice damage. Crit after crit after crit. The Darius going in with his Q. Darius getting some nice... Oh, that's a... like... Instantly max ultimate there onto the Xayah with the flash from Caitlyn, getting the kill onto the Xayah. She wants more, she wants blood, but she's gonna back off as her team is going to be taking Elder here.
Yeah, and so the front line, the Warwick, the Galio, they're just so tanky at this point. I think Galio, yeah, he did use his gargoyle still place. So, like, it just takes them so long because Xayah doesn't even have her second crit item yet. It takes them so long to try to eat through the front line, and they don't even die on the side of Anarchy Navy. Rammus goes into the back line and taunts the Syndra, but he's not going to do enough damage on them to kill her. I feel like what Sapper Squad needs to do is they need to peel back and kite, because the Jimmy no Gildo can still do good damage, even with 1.5 items. But what they need is to get the Galio and the Warwick off of the Xayah. They essentially, like, because again, Warwick is not CC immune during his ultimate's duration. So once he ults someone, you just need Rammus to taunt him and stop that right in its tracks.
Yeah, this is it looks like Anarchy Navy being really far ahead here into a potential end game team fight with Elder.
Yeah, they're gonna have to try to push through Maltahar, but the poke also from Caitlyn is going to be so extreme with the Elder because she can just auto you, get a static Shiv proc off of Mini Wave, and you're going to take a decent chunk of damage. Yeah, you see, Jimmy no Gildo loses 250 health just to the Shiv proc and Elder burn. And you take enough of those and maybe you just get executed.
We're gonna see our next team fight erupting pretty soon, actually. With the a nice Thresh hook from downtown into a huge play, getting the shutdown onto the Syndra. But the Caitlyn's doing massive damage to everyone. She's gonna be cleaning up this town here. The Darius going in, getting a double kill for Caitlyn. They're gonna be flashing in onto the Malzahar, and Caitlyn is taking turret aggro and falls down to it as well. The Warwick going in, the Galio going in, they want the blood, they want the kill, they take down the Malzahar, and they do fall to turret aggro again. Darius is going to be cleaning up some nice objectives. The Galio is probably going to be helping them out with this as well, and they're going to be looking for an inhibitor.
I think they
possibly doing a
Triforce.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could. The cooldown on Rammus and Thresh are going to be...
It's only 10 seconds. They're just going to have to get hit, but like... That's just, like, the objective power there is what turns out. Because they had an amazing hook on Midmaster. They catch him at max range with the Death Sentence, flay him back towards the tower. He gets bursted down immediately, but then the front line just explodes to the Elder execute, and they just get run down one by one. They do get a number of answering kills ultimately. I don't know how Caitlyn died there. Yermore goes down to the tower. Midmaster picked off early, but then it will now have vision control around the Baron. But there is hope for Vengeance Esports here because the Elder's gone. I don't believe anyone... Yeah, the Elder has now timed out. They're no longer facing the threat of that execute. They can once again look to fight if they can get a good pick here. And so I think what you need to do as Vengeance is Anarchy Navy are reacting the same way every time. As soon as Bulbasaur Squad hooks someone, they... Galio Justice Punch in and taunt, and they Warwick ult in. So what you need to do is you want have Bulbasaur Squad hook someone, bait the engage, and then turn on the engagers. And try to kill that front line, and then there won't be a front line to try to protect the Caitlyn or the Syndra.
Very True, they are chunking down this Baron rather quickly here. We do see a nice flash away, and the Galio just going to be really doing his job, being a gatekeeper, making sure that they don't enter this Baron pit. Baron does go to the Warwick. Nice double taunt from the Galio, and the Thresh is going to fall shortly after. The Malzahar ultimate going down onto Galio. Featherstorm coming out from Xayah, and you do see the Warwick and the Galio ulti re-engaging back in. The Rammus is going to be falling short. He is in Powerball. He does get chained in by the Warwick. Xayah versus Caitlyn. Caitlyn wins that fight there, and now they're going to be looking for an end game situation, pushing it down onto mid and looking at the Nexus.
Yeah, the issue there is Rammus's boss side. I don't know if he was doing his red buff, but he essentially he's walking up from boss side jungle.
You see the Malzahar picking up onto the Galio there, but then you see Darius immediately cracking back onto the Mundo. Now it's just Malzahar versus the world. It's not going to be enough. Anarchy Navy just really coming in large here. Thresh getting a nice hook, getting a nice play, but it's not going to be enough as they are just going to end the game here. GG, Anarchy Navy. Very well done, very well executed. Watching this whole team fight, they were going off, they were winning the game, and then they kind of like, there were a couple little step backs, but you know what? They did step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. They won the game. They came in huge with objectives, especially Dragon, especially Baron, especially Elder. And then once they had those major objectives, they said, okay, time to team fight. Let's go. Let's get in. And even when the Thresh got amazing hook after amazing hook onto the major objectives like Caitlyn, onto Syndra, they were able to flash back, and they really played team fights extraordinarily well with the front to back kind of mentality and with their positioning. It was excellently executed by Anarchy Navy, and good on them on taking the W here.
Yeah, absolutely. They really took their jungle control and used that to they took all the neutral objectives. They didn't. Oh wait, I thought it was. Oh, I guess it was a Rammus, not Lee. The program must have been wrong as well. For some reason, I remember talking about Lee earlier, and then there was no Lee Sin in that game.
Yeah, I think the pro guy bugged out.
But they did an excellent job of using their early jungle lead to just get all their lanes ahead and control the game.
Yeah, with that being said here, I want to hear your final thoughts on like MVP and Ace and takeaway of the series.
I think my MVP would be Yermord, because the amount of control he exerted in shutting down the Rammus early was huge. Like, took his red buff, invaded him with his blue buff, got first blood. Like, he really stifled the Rammus out in the early game. For Ace, it has to be Bulbasaur spot. Like, the hooks were on fire. And in that last fight, they did lose, but he threads the death sentence around Galio to catch the Caitlyn. Like, these hooks were magnetically attracted to the carries for Anarchy Navy. They didn't have the damage to follow up, but his Thresh was really good, and his hooks were on point every time. So I think that he would definitely be my choice for Ace here. As for takeaways, I think don't give up Dragon Soul. Its power is just big, and always make sure that you are on time to Dragon. I think Vengeance Esports was a little late to Dragon too many times and didn't have the vision control or positional advantage around that objective.
Very well said, and very well played by both teams. Great games. GG on both sides here. When we come back, folks, we're going right into the Noxious division with Apes Together Strong versus a new team I haven't watched before, Mundolicious.
Yep, we'll be back in a few.